All right. We are live, and today we are going to be talking about overtraining. We're going to be getting into it pretty quickly here. So, actually, you know what? We're getting into it right away. But before we do, as a reminder, we are going to fix this stream first because, okay, I'm breaking everything. I'll be there in a second, I promise. I think we've got it all back now. Apologies, but we're going to get into it very quickly here. I just wanted to jump in quickly to say, you know the drill if you have tuned into this show before. Make sure you are sharing this live stream. If you're here live, share it to your profiles, to your people, wherever it is you can share it so that more people hear this message. We are here to impact the lives and careers of athletes. And we're going to get into it quickly, talking about how do you know when you're overtraining. So let's get into the show now in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are going to be talking about how you know when you're overtraining. So why did I want to bring this one to you guys? Well, the main reason that I wanted to talk to you guys about overtraining is because I got this question on an Instagram story post today, and I absolutely loved it. Overtraining is something that is so important to avoid and something that so many people do that I just really felt like it was an important one to dig into. And so, to the one who asked that question, I appreciate you. And we are about to help a lot of people. Now, the reason I feel like overtraining is so important to talk about and so, often overlooked in the world of sport is because we have this mentality in the world of high performance sport that the more you do, the better result you're going to get. And there is some truth to that. In order to succeed, obviously, you have to do a lot. You have to be a high performer. You have to train very hard. You have to work very hard and do that on a continual basis. But where we overlook that is recovery, is overtraining. There is an extent that you can push yourself to that point where you are working so hard that you're hurting yourself more than helping yourself. And that is what we're trying to get into today. So overtraining, how do you know when it's happening and why do you care? So first of all, we're going to go through 2 different ways that you can really tell that you're overtraining. The first way that you know that you're overtraining is mental. If you truly love your sport, if you're competing at a high level, if you are training to compete at a high level, you're not there yet, but you want to be one day because you love what you do, we still all have days where we wake up and we don't want to do it. We still all have days where you wake up, the bed just feels so comfortable this morning, and the last thing in the world I want to do is actually get up and train. So you do it anyway because you have to. And 9 times out of 10, on those days when you feel like the last thing in the world you want to get up and do is train, you wake up, you get to the gym. By the time you get to the gym, you feel great and you're excited by the fact that you get to go train that day. Now, what also happens is every once in a while you have that same thought in the morning, that same feeling in the morning where you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this today. Everything hurts. The last place in the world I want to be is the gym today. And when you have those days, like I said, most of the time you get to the gym and you're fine. Sometimes you get to the gym and the whole time you're there, you hate it. You ever had those days? Like, I know that if you're training for a sport, you love the sport, but there are those days where you get to the gym and the whole time you're there, you just hate it. I'll be fully transparent as someone who works very hard at building a business. There are absolutely days where I wake up and the last thing in the world I want to do is work on my business, or the last thing in the world I want to do is show up to any of the stuff I have to show up to. And I know whenever that happens, I need a day off. So it used to bug me and I used to, just force myself through it. No, I can work through this. I can push harder. But now I understand that I am a better coach if I take days off, because instead of trying to push through and do it, even though it's the last thing in the world I want to do, I take the days off when I'm able to. And when I do that, I recharge, I refresh. And then when I come back the next day, I am 10 times better at coaching than if I had tried to just push through that hard day. So, as an athlete, it is the same thing for you. You grinding through and training 7 days a week, even though you feel like crap, is not the way for you to actually succeed in the sport. The way for you to succeed in the sport is for you to actually take days off when you need them. Because if you are able to take the day off, refresh and recharge, you're going to come back in a way better position. But coming back to that, when you have that day where you wake up and the last thing in the world you want to do is train, and you get up and you train anyway, and you go for it, you say, you know what, I'm going to keep going. You get to the gym, you feel great, you have an awesome session, great. You probably aren't overtraining right now. But when you have that day where you get up, you go to the gym anyway, even though you feel like you don't want to, and the whole time you're there, you absolutely hate it, that is not you being soft. That is not you being a bad athlete. That is not you not wanting to work hard. That is your body saying, listen, dude, chill out. You're doing too much. Go home. And if you try to push through that, what tends to happen is it gets worse. It gets worse. You start having a lot more days like that. And in turn, you stop being able to push through them. And that leads down the road of injury, pain, burnout, all that other fun stuff. On the other hand, if you just say, listen, I'm burnt out and I need a day, and you take it, you're going to take one day and you're going to come back feeling like $1 million. So what would you rather do? Would you rather be the person who tries to grind through it and forces themselves to do it and then feels like shit for the next 2 weeks? Or would you rather be the person that says, hey, I need a day off, take it, and then come back and get 10 times as much out of your next session the next day? So that is way number one. Way number two is physical. If you've been doing this for a while, you've been training hard for a little while, you've got good skills, and then you know more than anybody. Everybody has a session from time to time that just doesn't go their way. They're training and, they just can't get anything right. They're throwing combos that they've thrown 1,000 times before and they're just not landing. Other guys are throwing at them and they are landing when they shouldn't. Like, it's just not a good day. Everybody has them. I get that. And a lot of the time when people have them, they get frustrated. And I understand that too. You get frustrated because, people are touching you when they shouldn't, or these things that I've learned before aren't working and they should be. All these little things that start bugging you. But if you're able to understand that, hey, that's part of the process, you come back, you try again tomorrow, and over time it gets better and better and better and better. Now, the second way you're going to know if you're overtraining is if days like that start to pile up. If you have one bad day, you probably just had a bad day. If you have 2, 3, 4 bad days in a row where you're just feeling like nothing's going right and your body doesn't feel good and you're getting hit by guys you shouldn't get hit by and you're not hitting guys that you should be hitting, that is your body telling you you are burnt out. That is not you being soft. That is not you being a bad athlete. That is not you not being a good fighter. That is your body telling you you're burnt out. That is your brain and your nervous system telling you, I do not have the ability to react to what you are telling me to do anymore. And if you don't have that ability, the way to get it back is not to grind through 7 more hard sessions. The way to get that ability back is, like I said, to chill out. You give yourself that day, you let yourself recover, and then you come back to training the next day. Because I've said this to a number of people before, and I will say it until I am blue in the face. If you take a day off, you are not going to forget how to fight. If you take a day off, you are not going to ruin the progress that you've made over the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. If you take a day off, all you are going to do is recover. And by recovering, what you are going to do, you are going to put yourself in a better position to succeed in the future. So, how do you know when you're overtraining? You know when you're overtraining when you are first mentally exhausted and the last thing you want to do day after day is actually go into the gym and train. This doesn't mean you hate the sport. This means you are not Superman. And every once in a while, even if you love something, you need a break from it. Number 2 is physical. If you have a bad session, that's cool. That happens to everybody. If you have 2, 3, 4 bad sessions in a row where nothing is going your way, This is your body, your brain, your nervous system telling you that it is not up to the task right now. It is not up to the task right now, and you need to chill out. So I hope this helps. These are obviously, a little bit more mental ways of figuring out if you're overtraining. There are definitely tests you can run for certain levels in the body. I'm not going to get into that kind of stuff because obviously that's not super accessible to everybody. So I want to stick with ways that literally any of you can tell if you're starting to overtrain. So I hope this was valuable. I hope you got something out of it. Little bit of a shorter episode today, but I think there was a lot of value packed into those 10 minutes. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. My one ask of you before we wrap up the show is, as always, share this podcast with a friend, with a coach, with a teammate, with someone that you know needs to hear this message. We are delivering quality information week after week. We're doing everything we can to help positively impact the lives and careers of athletes around the world. And we do that through you. So thank you all in advance for those who are sharing the show around. And also send me a message with things that you'd like me to dig into. This one was off of a response on an Instagram story. Send me a message. Ask me what you'd like to know. Tell me what you'd like to know, and we will build episodes around that. Our goal is to serve you, and we do that when we are in communication. So thank you all for tuning in again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever it is you're listening to this, and we will talk again very soon.